Keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Every day. Brother, mind what you do and how you treat your fellow man. If you're like me, you try to live the very best that you can. For if you spread good all around, you'll be able to sleep when the sun goes down. Keep moving on, keep moving on.
Because you're here to move your business forward. BDC's here for what's ahead. BDC, the bank for Canadian entrepreneurs.
So I'm Jen Schell, CEO and founder of Finlity. And Finlity is an accessible platform to show people how to invest and trade for themselves. And we use a behavioral model that is specific to your personality trait so that you get the strategy that's right for you. But you know, it was quite the journey to start this, and it took a lot of thinking. I spent a lot of time in the corporate world, and these are some of the things that you want to contemplate before you start this business, because it is a big endeavor, but it's really exciting and fun, and you will learn what intrinsic motivation is. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it after, but it's a great feeling. So here we go, the 10 things to know before starting a tech startup. So number one, why now? This took me all year to learn how to do. And what you want to do is get some urgency to your idea. You know, it's like, why would somebody want to invest in it now? Why is your solution relevant right now, today? And you can start with, if you wish that your solution existed today, and why do you wish it existed? Usually this is from a personal problem or a situation that you faced. And it's kind of like if you're asked to write a story, usually people write a story about themselves because it's personalized. And the more personalized it is, the more relevant it'll be, and the more it'll drive you further to do this passion and start this business. Don't make it about the money, make it about the passion. It'll drive you, trust me. So when you're looking to solve a problem, it's really helpful if you have industry experience. So if you've been working at a corporation or at like a small business or wherever, and then you usually experience some problems that you say, and you're like, why is nobody solving this? And that could be your opportunity for success. It could also come from a personal experience, or, you know, if you're younger and you see that things are not evolving as quickly as you'd like, there's an opportunity for you if it's in your demographic. And sometimes it comes from adversity. Those problems that seem to just never end or just frustrate you might actually be hidden opportunities in disguise. So pay attention to that, because that might be that life force that's going to bring you to that business opportunity you've been looking for. So it's really important to create that FOMO. And this is what some of my advisors have been trying to drill into my head. Just create FOMO, like create that opportunity, that fear of missing out. And that's the secret. It's not like wishing for things to happen or being like, I need a positive mindset, because these problems come from problems and negativity. It's okay. We just have to address them. And that's opportunity, and that's a business. So that's number one. Number two, the problem. Good segue into this slide. The problem is when you're afraid to share your idea. You're all brilliant, and you've all got talents that nobody else has. If it comes easy to you, it's probably a talent. And one of the biggest issues is that the problem is when you're afraid to share your idea and afraid to, get some help, because if you're going to create a business, you need people to help you. So you really want to frame that problem for the audience. Are there people who are also experiencing this problem that you think is a huge one? And you need to identify how many people are in that audience. And quantify the scope of the problem and connect it to your audience. So you really want to make sure that problem resonates with them, because without a problem, there is no solution. And the reality is, most people are too lazy or too scared to start a business. So don't worry about sharing it out and getting the word out of your general problem. Number 3, it's do it yourself. So these are things that, you can do because let's face it, as startup entrepreneurs, we're on a limited budget. So there are things you need to do for free. It's great to establish a foundation. So the first thing you want to do is you want to name your company. You might have a really cool name and you might think it's great, but you want to be able to do a name mark search in the Canadian trademark database and look for similar names to yours. And also look for names that somebody else might have taken or owned by big corporations already, because then you can't fight them in court. And this will save you a lot of time and a lot of money before you hire a lawyer and before you decide to incorporate. Because if somebody else has the same name as you, you can't incorporate in Canada, or it's really difficult. I had to get letters of permission to get Finlitty, which I got. I got them from Canada and the US, but I had to do there were some workarounds. So I had to get permission from a bookkeeper in Ontario, and I had to get permission from a lawyer in New York City who had a similar name. So just keep that in mind. And it's also good to get a .com if you can. So if you can figure out a word or make up a word and get the .com, that'll bring you a long way. And then you can go international with it. So those are the things that I would recommend. A business plan is great, but the reality is today people are really impatient. So all you really need are a few projections. 10% growth per week is great. And you want to know, how are you going to make money? And if you can present it in a really neat, tidy little package, you're on your way to riches. Number 4, the solution is being able to articulate and execute your vision. So you want to show how you solve the problem that you identified and what will be different when the problem is solved. Who else is trying to solve this problem? Research what the competitors are doing. And if you think that there are no other competitors, look again, because there's always people who are in that same thought bubble as you and who are coming up with solutions. They might be subpar solutions, but they're still competitors. So you can actually learn from them and cut down a lot of time too, and just look at the basic framework of how they've already done things. Also look to see if some of those competitors have been acquired, because that means that that validates your idea and validates your problem. So competitors aren't just to be, kind of jealous of, I guess you could say. It's good to study your competition and to learn from your competition. And also some of those people might be willing to help you if they're further down the road. Number 5, establish the team. This is what I like to call keeping the band together. So as a CEO, if you are a CEO, you want to get that band together, those key people who can make your dream come true. So I have some people here. Let's take a look at Wendy Reiter. She's the Chief Executive Officer. And as a Chief Executive Officer, you have to do everything, even those tasks you don't like to do. But you need to learn how to do them to a certain extent. Then you need to somewhat master them. And then when you're able to do that and you have a process for things, then you delegate as soon as you can. And the sooner you can do that, the freer time you'll have to be able to do other things that you love to do and to really talk about the story of your company. And you need to be able to humble brag and tell the story. I find as women, we don't like to, sell ourselves or brag about things that haven't happened yet. And we're really grounded in reality. We don't exaggerate. It's just a tendency that we have. And I know myself, I have that tendency, and I tend to underestimate all the things that I've accomplished because I don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. But when you're a CEO of a company, you have the right to be enthusiastic and you have the right to push your idea. It's okay to do so. So if you don't give yourself permission, I give you permission to do it. Next, if you aren't the Chief Technology Officer, you'll need one of those, especially if you're doing a tech company. So the Chief Technology Officer will help you build your vision and will help you with the architecture and will help you find those missing people that you need to work together and make your vision come alive. They're really good at managing the team, and they manage the designers and the devs. So those are it's crucial to find a Chief Technology Officer. And if you don't know where to find one, you can go on LinkedIn. You can go on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a fantastic place to find people. You can go in a bunch of meetings as well. Like there are meetups that pop up, and you can go just network. Networking is the best thing, and ask around. You might have a CTO in your friend circle, and that's what happened to me, and it's working out beautifully. Next, you really need to focus on that customer experience. What's obvious to you because you're already in the box and you're familiar with the problem might not be obvious to other people. So it's really good to have a really good designer who can take your vision and turn it into a path and like a story or a game and just like make it come alive. So that's a really important factor. And the designer doesn't necessarily have to be from your industry. Sometimes it's better if they're not, because they give you a diversified opinion. And diversity in the workforce and on a team is a beautiful thing. You get so much more done in little time. Next, don't discount interns. Interns are brilliant gems, and they're hungry and they're willing to learn, and they're often, they've got expertise because they just learned everything at school or in the program. So they're fresh with all the newest things that are coming up. And they're often more cost effective to employ. So if you can find some good interns, all the power to you. So this is the basic team that I like to establish. Know your strengths and work towards those, and then hire people that have the things that maybe you're not so passionate about, or things that you need help with, and you will see how far you will come. Number 6. So this is something that you're going to run up with. You're going to have to do pitches. So it's going to look similar to this 10-page pitch deck that I'm showing you right now. You're going to have to do something similar when you talk to people. They want you to be enthusiastic, and they want to see milestones. And this is such a difficult position, and there's no formulaic way of getting this right. So don't worry about it. Nobody has a solution for you. You just have to come up with your own personal milestones to success and figure out what some of those are. I can tell you from experience that you want to race to $50,000 in revenue as quickly as possible, because there are grants, there are opportunities, there's a lot of things that open up to you. And one of the criteria is that you've had $50,000 in revenue, and that's in Canada. So just keep that in mind and just figure out a way to get there. If you can show that, all the power to you. Also, finding good advisors or team members who have had successful exit or startup experience. So if people have worked for some of those accelerators and they're on your board of advisors, or if they've created a company and sold it to somebody, these are really good people to have on your team, or just even as advisors. And you can compensate them with equity, or you can pay them if you have the budget. Also, traction. Before you even get those dollars in, establish a community either on Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse, wherever. Just get those people engaged, and those might be your future customers. Maybe you have traction really quickly because maybe you have a product to sell on Instagram. And so things that you've sold, like any kind of traction, clicks, engagement, followers, whatever, the more engaged and the more organic they are, the more high quality they are, and the more better they're perceived with investors. Next, you can also get milestones with product development. So if you make something tangible, people can see it, they'll believe it. Oh, it's real all of a sudden. Trying to have these abstract ideas and convince people that you are the best person for this is great. If you have a great team, but it's more important if you can just get an MVP, even a basic one, just so people can see what you're trying to do, it will get you further along. And it's really good to find important people to get behind you. If you can get that one person in the industry that you're in to stand behind you and to truly believe in you, the others will come in. It's like follow the leader. Like they just follow that leader. And you only need one person. That's it. You need your first investor, your first person in, and then the others just come in. It's like, I don't know. It's like a law of attraction of business opportunities. I don't know how to explain it, but it just happens. Number 7, Okay, so this is a big slide for today, and don't worry about digesting all of it, but it's important to master and to figure out how it works. So you're going to have to spend a few hours, at least a few hours, to learn how this all works. Valuation, how much your company is worth, and the cap table, and how dilution of equity affects you as a business owner. You need to study the impact and do the math. And there are some other calculators that are already done for you, but it depends on the industry that you're in. So you need to learn about equity and how it can help you. Because if you want to grow really quickly, you're probably going to go the equity route. If you want to just build a business in your community and you don't really care about how big it gets, then you can work with debt, and you'll need to work with financial institutions and get all your financials together. So dilution can make you or break you, and you can actually lose all of your company, and you've done all that work for nothing. So you need to learn how to defend your equity position so that you can grow. And if you can use debt, bank debt at really low interest rates, maybe that's a solution for you. So don't be afraid of debt if it's available to you. And especially if you have accounts receivable already, then sometimes lenders will just lend on that, depending on the quality of the accounts receivables. So I know that from my experience as a commercial banker back in the day. So the trick is with debt, it's a financial obligation, but you get more ownership. With equity, there's less of a financial obligation, but you have less ownership. So getting that debt to equity balance is really crucial. You're going to have to accept that the fundraising world is weird, and don't worry about it until you need to raise money. So if you're just starting out, the first year is probably going to be developing your foundation and getting a solid structure. There's lots of, I know Techstars has some really good resources to help you with the fundraising and to help you with the structures. And there are some other resources as well. But it's good to look it up. And I'm sure we'll be covering some of those other things during our sessions. Number 8, this is just how it works. So you can see that I have some things all over the place. What you want to do is make sure that everything's aligned and that it's a clear and obvious path about how things work. Keep it simple. Don't use any fancy jargon or lingo because investors often don't get it. You want to make sure that people feel empowered and that they understand your vision and your business, because the more empowered you make the other person feel, the more buy-in you'll get. You want to be clear in your process and make it as simple as 1, 2, 3. This is what you do. You go here, you do this, you get this result. You want to outline the big picture for people because they'll have a hard time visualizing it. Most people are visual learners. So keep that in mind. Lots of pictures, lots of graphics. The easier, the better, not too wordy. Just keep it light and fun, and don't be boring, because they'll never remember the boring pitch that you give, but they will remember if it's terrible, and they'll remember if it's exceptional. So you never want to be in the middle, and don't be afraid to fail because you'll get feedback, and feedback will save the day. Next, number 9, the revenue model to finance your company. So you need to be flexible with your revenue model because it might change. You might pivot as you go, as you see where that demand is actually coming from your customers. The first logical step is to bootstrap. So the first year of operations, I financed everything myself. You'll have to do it off lines of credit and try to make it work for yourself. You could be creative. Maybe you get instant success and you get revenues. That's ultimate. Like if you get revenues, you're just golden. You're golden right out the gate. Third, you'll need to fundraise, and you'll need to have a pitch deck of about 10 to 14 pages to do so, to get investors interested in your business, if that's what you'd like to do and you'd like to scale really quickly. So these are essentially, when you're getting started, the 3 avenues that you have. Bootstrapping, where you can self-finance, or you can have some really nice friends and family that can help you out. You'd be surprised. Ask them. A lot of them want to help you, or they believe in you, and they've seen the talent, or they've seen you work hard, and they know that you've got what it takes to do this business, and you are that person for the job. Finally, 10. If you're going to do this, just commit to your vision. Go all in, friends. And be prepared to work 12 to 14 hours a day at times, but learn to love it. And that's what intrinsic motivation is. Sometimes I don't sleep. Sometimes I'm just like so enthused with this idea. I get a breakthrough idea at 3 or 4 in the morning and I start working on things. And it's fun. It should be fun. It should not feel like a chore. And if you're persistent and consistent and every day you just do a little bit more, then eventually you will see those results. I promise you. They won't come in right away. There's no such thing as an overnight success, so don't stress yourself out over it. When they say overnight success, people typically refer to 5 years. So, I know 5 years is a long way away, but just make it through that first year and map out that first year and just work on it a little each time. And if you get tired, don't be afraid to take a break. Have a nap, take it easy, take a day off. You'd be amazed at what comes to you when you just regenerate your batteries. So it's really important to do that so you don't burn out. And you need to, if you haven't done this yet and you're just contemplating it, you can work on the side for a little while, but you need to establish a plan to quit your day job and have at least 6 months reserves, I would say. So you can truly focus on your project and your business at hand, and so that you don't get discouraged and that you've got backup, you've got time. You can only focus 100% on your project or your business. The other thing is, and this is something I wish that somebody would have told me early on, lean on the supporters, lean on the people who believe in your vision. They will get you through. They will be that, like the motivation that you need to help support you and get you through. And run away as fast as you can from the haters. And these haters might be in your inner circle. They might be your friends. They might be people that you didn't anticipate, like your family. Unfortunately, when you do this big vision of a company, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people because ambition is frightening to some and intimidating. So all you want to do is align yourself with some really good friends and supporters, or even new people that you might meet in the entrepreneurial world. Those people are lovely and they are just as enthused as you are for you to have a successful business. So if you can take in all these things, then I think you've got it. I say just go for it. You will be so happy that you did this. I've never been happier in my whole life. So go with it, develop the idea, carve out a plan, and I wish you all of the luck in the world.
Awesome. And we have some questions rolling in, Jennifer, so I'm going to kind of start asking them to see what you think. One, somebody asked, will the slides be available for them afterwards? I know the recording is going to be available.
Yeah, if you want the slides, sure.
Yeah. And I know, if people are afraid about somebody else stealing their idea, what's the best way to begin sharing, or how would they go about doing that?
I think you can get a good sense of who you're telling this idea to. So before you openly share your idea, ask them just some questions around who they are. If it's a competitor, you probably don't want to share your idea. If it's like somebody who can help you or somebody who wants to finance it, then you can share your idea. If you have like top secret, like just be general about it if you'd like. You could say, hey, like, okay, so like Finlady, for example, I'll use my own company. I say it's an accessible platform for beginners, and we don't have assets under management, unlike the other system. I have deep knowledge of the industry, so I'm confident in my idea that it would be very hard to replicate. And unless you had that experience, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about of how difficult it is, because there's so much regulation. So if you're an industry expert, then you should be okay. But you know what? Always put moats around things. So be careful of who you speak to. And if they seem suspicious, or if your feeling's not right, then don't share. Most people won't sign an NDA unless they're actually working with you and you want to show them your wireframes or your like development. Like, don't share code openly. Just if it's something you would pitch and it's something that you would say in public and on the news, then it's probably okay to share.
Got it. And You were talking about patents, well, trademarks before, and looking at your name and everything. How do they ensure that their name's also available in the US if they're looking for a global market? When do they start that search? Do they do it at the beginning, later? What do you feel there?
I feel before you incorporate, you should do a name search on your name to make sure nobody else took it, because that could be a steep legal battle. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you how bad it could get, but it'll save you a lot of money and time if you just do your own searches. So there is a site on the US as well. And I do have the link for the Canadian version in the presentation, which you can have. But there is one in the US as well, and you can search, and it just takes some time, but you can search if somebody else has your name, and also look to see if somebody has the name and a similar business. It's very useful to know before you engage a lawyer, because the lawyers will charge you at least $500 an hour to do all this stuff. So it's a good idea to do a pre-search before that.
And then on that same vein, do you recommend getting your idea or business copyrighted or protected copyright-wise for some?
So I registered the name mark for Finlady in Canada, and then when you register in one country, you have 6 months to do it in another one. So you have time to think about it as it goes through the process. So I registered in Canada and the US. So it's wherever you want to operate, because it does cost, it seems to cost about 5,000 all in every time you want to go somewhere to trademark your name. And there's a lot with copyright as well. Maybe we could get some type of expert in to talk about copyright more. But having that name is crucial for building your brand. So personally, I think that you should totally build a moat around your name and make sure that nobody else has it. I did have to change the name I was considering calling it Brigada. And then I figured out that, well, Simple, which is potentially either a competitor or a collaborator, I don't know yet. But they bought a company called Brigata. So that was a problem. So I had to change my name. And I didn't figure that out until I had already hired lawyers. So this is why I say, just go do your name search yourself. It'll save you a lot of legal trouble.
And now, moving over to the team building aspect. So how does somebody go about building a team? Not everybody feels the same about the idea like me. So what do you recommend there?
First of all, there should only be one head chef in the kitchen. So if that's you and your idea, then you've got to be that one chef. Do not do don't do a co-CEO kind of thing. There should only be one CEO and one CTO who can take care of all the tech vision of it and help you out, and you work together. But there should be like one dominant idea, I think, or else there are too many cooks in the kitchen and it'll be diluted and your vision won't get out properly and it'll confuse people. That's one thing. The second thing is, you want to be able to work with people that you trust. So sometimes that might be friends, and especially at first when you're on a budget, it's good to find friends or even family members that you trust that you could work together. It might be a mistake, but it might not, because you know how those characters are. And then I wouldn't give people a ton of equity in your business until you kind of see how they work after 3 months. Like, give it 3 months, because people come off as awesome at first, like everyone's great. And then when they work with you, sometimes some people are just arrogant or don't have accountability, which is the worst. Just whatever you do, make sure the person has accountability and that they can admit when something goes wrong and can bring it up and say, let's fix this. That's one of the things I would watch out for. Genuineness, authenticity, somebody who's willing to learn, who might not have all the answers, but who can at least, who does have expertise in the area that you're looking for and who can complement your skills, who's not like you. Diversity in a team is powerful.
Now, and related to that, do you recommend to start a team even if you're still at the beginning of the process, like you're maybe their ideation phase or something?
Yeah, maybe a co-founder, like a tech co-founder, have one tech co-founder, have one business co-founder, have somebody who's very vocal and who likes to talk to people, and have another person who maybe likes to do more of the technical work. You can start with just 2 or 3 people And then you could go a year or two with just 2 or 3 people. You are a startup, so I'm assuming you're a startup, and maybe you have endless resources, but the reality is most of us don't. So keep it small and nimble, and then you could always expand later on once you figure out what those roles are. And when you're looking for, like I said, when you're looking for people, you can network. There are lots of Zoom networking sessions going on. Look for meetups, look for different ways to meet people and engage.
Got it. And now moving on, you spoke about networking and getting that value. How do people network well? There's lots of events out there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So you ask people open-ended questions. People like to talk about themselves. So find out what they do, what they're about. And sometimes you don't click with some people, and sometimes you do. So, sometimes you just connect and you just know that this person would work well with you. If they don't, that's okay. And just say, it was really great meeting you. Let's connect on LinkedIn, keep it at that. You might need that person later on, you never know. But it's good to have your network. Or you could ask that person, do you know somebody who is looking to do this? Like, are you aware of any designers who are looking to begin work in a startup and who want some equity and want to work from the ground up? You'd be surprised. Just ask around. So ask about them. Never make it about you. And tell them what you need.
Got it. And now moving over to the grants piece, how do you find what grants are open at 50,000? I think you mentioned. Can you give an example or something for the audience?
Yeah, there was. It was some type of alcohol company who is doing something for women. It's like a high-end champagne brand. I can't recall what it was now, but a lot of them are just asking, they have competitions or, you give submissions and they might give you money, or the prizes are quite significant, like 100,000 or 500,000 or sometimes $1 million. But they are usually, if you read the fine print, the requirement is that you have 50,000 in revenue. And there are some organizations in Canada that require 50,000 revenue, and some banks do too. I guess a lot of them are based on debt. So there's quite a few options for debt for women. And sometimes there's debt at very low interest rates or no interest rates. And those ones are the ones that usually require revenue, because I think they lend against your revenue.
And when you say 50,000, are you talking 50,000 a month, a year?
A year, annualized. So 12 months, over a 12-month period. And so you have to show $50,000 of revenue over the last 12 months. A lot of them are strict like that.
Yeah,
so
and now, go ahead.
That's what, I guess, if you can make it work and you can make your case, then you can explain it to the submissions. But it's so far it's like pretty black and white the way they say it. It's like, no, 50,000 in the last 12 months, and we need to see it in your bank account.
Awesome. And how do you find your first investor? What is that like, or what should they be aware of?
So you want to find investors who can contribute to your business and who can either give introductions or expertise or guidance around fundraising, because guidance around fundraising is a big one. And people who can give you introductions to partnerships or whatever it is that you need. It's good to have people who are engaged, not just passive investors. Obviously, when you're starting out, you want to almost take what you can get, but just keep in mind that those investors will be with you for a long time. And if they're going to take up a lot of your time and they're going to complain and they're going to want their vision instead of your vision, it might not be worth it to take it. So honestly, it's a numbers game. So the more people you talk to and the more people you talk about your idea, the more you'll find those investors. And once you find that one, like I had mentioned, the rest seem to pour in. Nobody wants to be the first investor for some reason, unless they're really brave and they see massive potential. And usually that's an experienced investor who's seen this before and it's like, yeah, I know this is going to go somewhere.
Got it. And somebody's asking, you mentioned different programs, pre-incubators in the US that help. And any ones that come to mind here in Canada specifically?
Yeah, actually, Sunil Sharma, who's the director of Techstars, that's a good one. And also, I did Founder Institute, which is good for new ideas. And what they do is they develop them and they show you the structure of how to build it. And you're with a lot of other people who are startup founders as well. And you could really network and share resources. And so I found some really good team members through there. I found some team members through my colleagues at Founder Institute in Toronto. And I found some and they introduced me to some mentors. And actually, that's how I met Steven from Techstars. And that's why I'm here today. So I like Founder Institute. I like Techstars. I think Mars has a program as well, which I'm finding out a little bit more about. Those are the ones, and there are different ones. So if you're in a different community, if you're in one of those provinces like Saskatchewan or out east, sometimes they have special, like their angel groups who will help you out as well. And there are special loans or special privileges and grants just for you because they want to encourage startups in that area. So a lot of towns have their own accelerators. Like I know actually in the GTA, I know Brampton has one, I think. I don't know what it is because I live downtown Toronto, but there is one there. And I think in Winnipeg, they have some as well. So like if you're in those provinces, there are resources available. Even try simple Google search, accelerator in your province or territory, and see what comes up. The other thing you can do is you could go on LinkedIn and ask the accelerators or different things that come up if they know of any that are in your area. It's just all about networking and asking.
Nice. And lots of questions. I know this was a lot of information, but the recording is going to be made available. So y'all can always reference back if you need to catch up on something. And any last parting words, Jennifer, for the community, the audience here?
Just go for it. And if you want to see what I'm doing and what I disclose and what I don't disclose, you're welcome to join our Facebook group, Learn to Invest for Beginners. And you can see how I built my community. And most of it's been organic. I'm also on LinkedIn and I post quite a bit. So I put those links in the chat. And I put my website up there so you could see what's there. So we started in WordPress. So if you want to start just looking into some programs that I found have been really good, WordPress, Figma, and which other ones? And then, go on social media. You could build a whole company off of Instagram and TikTok or wherever. So yeah, just go for it.